two giants. The first one is Toastmaster Devashish. He is also a founding president of Mizo Toastmasters Club. And now he's our Division 80s Area U6 Area Director. Devashish has been a corporate trainer and panelist across 10 countries, not one or two, 10 countries in Asia. In his 18 months, just barely 18 months, not even 2-3 years, as a Toastmaster, he has won 5 area and 4 division speech contest awards. He loves to make a difference through networking, mentoring, and coaching. So, Toastmaster Devashish, we are going to take full advantage of your passions of networking and mentoring. Our next giant is DTM Brahmakumar. He's not just once, 3 times. Yes, you heard it right, 3 times. Is also a global speaker and a motivator. He has completed, guess how many? 5 pathways and completed 150 out of 365 days public speaking video challenge. That's incredible. Has uploaded all his 170 motivational videos on his own YouTube channel called Motivating Thoughts. So Google him out, listen to those motivating thoughts. He has won trophies at area and division contests, visited 40 overseas Toastmasters clubs. He's area director U5 in Division 8, District 80, and he's also Tamil translation reviewer as at Toastmasters International. So please join me to welcome these two giants and Bala Venkat as our moderator, and we get the Fireside Chat kicked off. Thank you very much.
Hey, it's just a pleasure and a honor, Devashish and Brahma, my fellow area directors, for, first of all, thank you very much for taking your time and spending with us in this, in our club meeting, Eminent Toastmasters club meeting. And I know that this is a dear and a near topic to all of us, especially today. We're going to talk about our Fireside Chat is all about choosing a topic and completing a speech in hours. And I know this is something that every one of us want to know, and this is something that we are trying to crack. And I know we're all continue to learn, continue to practice this art. It would be great to hear from you, your tips and techniques, and hopefully that would help all our members in a way to construct the speech. So without further ado, let me go straight away. We'll start with Brahma. Hey, Brahma, how do you, this whole thing about evaluation, when we do any speech evaluation, we talk about speech structure. How do we get this speech structure correct? How do we make sure that we start, we end a speech? I appreciate if you could share from your experience, Brahma.
You could share give me the share screen option.
Yeah.
I still don't have it.
Okay, try now.
All right. Finally, Deepa was saying that I'm one of the experts, and true enough, because an expert is one who knows more and more about less and less. As you are doing speeches, as you are visiting other clubs, as you are giving evaluations, you realize there are others who have a different perspective because of their background, the country they come from, their education level, their life experiences. There's no one size fit for everyone. However, there are some ways which I have managed to sort of put into a structure, which I found is quite helpful to many. These are the four things we look at. First is your message. What is it that you want to listen from me? What is your intention of listening to me? What do you want to take away from me? So from the speaker's point of view is that what is it that I want to give to you that you would take away and would be beneficial to you? So once we know what's the message. For example, Vicky's message was about national service. That was his message. Then how did he start it? He had questions and he also joked about us using 1967 as a 4D number. So this is how he caught the attention of the audience. Next, when we continue, that's where you need to add the meat. Need to add facts, figures, and examples. Where do these come from? In the case of Swiki, Toastmaster Swiki, he had many years of service in the military service, and he has also done research on the history of national service. He had taken the pictures from archives, personal pictures, information from the Google, internet, and put it very beautifully in a nutshell for us on a PowerPoint. So we have the body. And finally, how do you conclude? Either you conclude with a punchline, strong voice at the end, or a question. One question I would have asked if I was him is that, now, having listened to national service, do you men and women, especially the women here, think that there should be national service for women? So that makes the audience again sit up and listen to you. A famous quotation about war. Past glory is no certainty of future success. Something you could take from perhaps Winston Churchill, one of the famous prime ministers during the Second World War. Or it could be a call for action. Suppose he was giving this lecture at a Switzerland or some other country that was neutral all this while, that is not intended to have a national service or what. You could say that given the current situation where a country with military might can attack any country, or with nuclear powers can attack a country that doesn't have nuclear power, don't you think it's about time we re-look at the concept of peace? That the only way to ensure there's peace is to make sure that your military is strong enough or you have nuclear power so that you can't be attacked by a foreign nation. And even if they attack, won't lose so fast, or you would create greater damage. So when you have such strong ending, it makes your speech powerful.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely wise words, Brahman. I think it's getting those, what you said, as pointers in each part of the speech structure. And I think that would be very useful. Coming to you, Devashish, I mean, we know that you have, in a very short period of time, have completed pathways, made many speeches. And I know one is the speech structure, getting that right, like what Brahma said. What about preparation to it? I mean, how do we go with the preparation? I mean, is it like that's where many of us get stuck on? Are we doing the right way? Is there a technique that would help us to prepare speeches? What does work for you?
Yes, definitely there is a technique. Just imagine, forget a speech. Let's say you want to travel, right? You want to go to your next destination, and your trip is, let's say, in June. Do you start planning in June, or do you start planning in March? In March, you are probably booking your tickets, even thinking about which place to visit, booking your tickets, booking your hotels and all that. And then you start preparing your whole itinerary, where you are going to go, are you going to rent a car, and so speech is exactly like that. The preparation has to start much earlier. Once the preparation starts on time, then your speech becomes flawless. It becomes much more easier. Now, how do you start? There are 3 ways to start. One, it could be an idea. What is an idea? Any idea. It could be, how to overcome my fear of public speaking, for example. It could be how to negotiate a win-win. How did I prioritize my day? Any idea, anything from your daily life, from your professional life, from something you have seen in your family. That could be one way to start. Other way to start could be your key message. You have a message to pass to the audience. A speech is never about you. It's all about the audience. What is your message to the audience? Maybe you want to be happy. Again, some tips. It could be, make it happen. If that is your message, dreams do come true. Don't worry, be happy. Anything. What is your key message which you want to bring, which is something very close to your heart? And finally, it's a story. What is your story? Your message will come out clearly only when your story is compelling. Look at any of the world great speeches. They all have a story. And your story could be something that has amused you, that can amaze the people, that has moved you or people around you. It could be something where you can express all your emotions. It could be a sad moment. And from there you could have become much happier. It could be something, one of the quotes which I hear here from, which I put it here, the stories do not have to be sensational. You don't have to have a sensational, it's not a breaking news. It just have to be sincere. That's the key. I believe if you can do these things properly, in addition to, before your preparation, it helps prepare the speech of the, even if you have 1 or 2 days before you actually deliver the speech, if you have those structures correct, it's much easier for you to deliver the speech.
Very, very useful tips there, Devashish. I like what you said about the story is not about you. The story is about the audience. I think that resonates very well to me as well. I think it's important to know who the audience is, and then you're able to structure then what you want to communicate to that audience. Brahma, while I think Devesh has pointed out all these kind of ideas, the kind of coming up with this message, sometimes we don't get these. I mean, it doesn't come into your mind. There's like these ideas doesn't flow through. We know that we want to make a speech, but it doesn't come naturally. Sometimes you feel stuck. You don't know what you read. So, you have done like 5 pathways, 100 plus speeches. How do you keep that? Well, I don't know if you have to be a creative person to get this, or is there a way that anybody or everybody can get ideas for this speech?
Number one, whenever you listen to table topics, write down all the topics, because each table topic can actually be transformed into a speech topic. It could not be the title itself, but the substance in it. For example, success comes to those who work hard. Let's say that's the table topic. The key idea here is success. You get the idea from the table topic speaker and you put it aside, write down somewhere. So it's also important for us to have a notebook where we jot down ideas. Ideas come to us any time of the day, while you're in the park, early in the morning, after meditation, after yoga, sometimes even after arguing with your wife or listening to someone fighting with their wife, you can get ideas. So we just write it down. It says that Jeffrey Archer, it's not Jeffrey Archer, it's Stephen King, the writer of the horror movies, genre of horror. He keeps a lot of things in his house, and when he looks at something, he gets ideas. Jeffrey Archer keeps a journal where he writes down every idea that came to him, and he takes them and makes it into a story. So table topics. Number 2 is you need to have a wide network of people, friends in different. You could have one in Toastmasters, one in your yoga group, one in your gardening group. So increase your interest groups. And there you have something. Sometimes when you talk to people, I once have a Toastmaster in our Tamil club who is a guy but does gardening. He loves to do gardening. Once he asked me, how do I come out with a topic? And so I said, you love gardening, you're a gardener, right? Talk about planting seeds. What happens when you plant seeds? What is required? Soil, sand, sun, water. Now, use it as a metaphor for life, for your children, for your church work. How does these ideas? So there's a connection between his personal life and what he's doing. Gardening plus the topic. So you look at the objectives of the topic. If it's to give a speech like 18 to 20 minutes, I had a call with Swiki. So he shared with me the secret of what he was going to share. So I said, you have to look at the whole history of national service. And from that, take what is relevant for you, with it. That's why he could speak beyond 22 minutes. When he called me, he said, Kumar, can I even talk beyond 7 minutes? I said, of course you can, because I've listened to you before. And I know you've got a depth of knowledge and a lot of experience. He was a retired Army colonel. So definitely he has a lot of experience. He also was involved in some of the National Day Parade events. Talking about that, look for people in your area, your country, or even your neighbor who's older than you. They have a lot of knowledge because Singapore went through a great transformation from the 50s to the current year. It was a great transformation. Someone could have heard about the Bukit Ho Swee fire. They could have lived around that area. That pivotal point there, the nexus of that event was Lee Kuan Yew telling everyone, in this same place where your huts were all burned down, I'll build high-rise buildings for you where you will have sanitation, water coming into your tap, and all the races can live together. And that was the start of the first, the forerunner of the HDB. I think it was called the HUDC. So they built the building there, but at that point when he gives that speech, how do you think the people will feel? You have lost your houses, maybe lives, property, and this leader comes and tells you, I will do something there for you that will make a difference in your life. So that's the sort of information that we can get when we talk to others. Next, since I'm talking about all this, right, you'll be wondering, okay, Kumar, you're talking about success. Now, how do I remember success? Two techniques you can remember. One is mind map. Let me show you a mind map I did for success. This is the mind map for success. The key word is success. So how would I approach it? The 5 whys. What, where, when, who, and then how. So define what is success. In Singapore, we have these 5 C's. Car, condo, condominium, and so on. So you can explain that. And then you give examples. Then you can go further by saying, why do we need to be success? You want to get fame and glory. And then you can conclude by saying, is there anything else that consists of success? A farmer living in India is happy with his life. He sees a failure in life. No, he has succeeded. Why? Because his definition of success is different from ours. So you see, you in fact have ideas for another speech. That's one way, a mind map. Another way is I use acronyms. The success. SUCCESS. So I have a phrase for every letter. See your goal. What is your goal? What is your destination? I want to get 10 DCP points for Eminent Toastmasters Club. I want to complete level 5. I want to be a next district officer. I want to go to that world trip that I couldn't go. That's your goal. S. Understand the obstacles, meaning what will be stopping you, what are your challenges. Then create a mental positive image. This is very important. especially for contests, you have to write your mental statement. You have to write this mental positive statement somewhere where you can see it every day. When I was doing my degree, it took me 8 years, but I wrote in front of there. A day will come when I'll go on stage and I'll receive a plaque from the chancellor. And I looked at it every day. Those days when I was feeling down, I kept on looking at it and it gave me the impetus to continue. Next, clear your mind of self-doubt. Sometimes it happens because of others. At this age, can you do a degree? Always is either you're too young, too old, too fat, too skinny. All the excuses in the world are given by others or by yourself. Then embrace the challenges. There are some things in life that we cannot do. For example, I cannot be a driver of a vehicle because my mind is always thinking of something and I find it not possible. I can do cycling, but even when I'm cycling, I sometimes notice that I have to stop a while because ideas just come. So I know my limitations, so that's not what I can do. Then stay on track. When I first did the 30-day video challenge, followed by the 90-day video challenge, every day there was a set time, either in the morning or night. It's like you have to do it before you go to sleep. And that kept the moment. And each day is a battle won. Every small fight adds up to a battle, right? So at the end, 90 days, I can do it. Then I turn around into a motivational speech. If I can do it, why can't you? See, that's how I can do it. And then finally showing the world, it's not showing off. It's sharing what you've achieved because you can be a model for others. You can be a example for others. When people are feeling down and they can't do, you say, I did this. Why can't you? And that's how. And so in your speeches, if you have this element, if I can do it, why can't you do it? Especially if you're older or you've done something that maybe a minority is not expected to do, like women cannot do this, or certain race cannot do, or people from this country can't do. You tell them that I've done it. So if I can do it, I can. We know that famous guy who has no limbs, right? No legs and no hands. I can't remember his name. I think he's a guy from Yugoslavia. Or what.
Nick
He has
Vujicic.
three children now. Nick something, right?
Nick Vujicic. Yeah.
Nick Vujicic, that guy. Look at his videos. You will be amazed. If this man can do it, why can't I? So that's my sharing on this. Back to you, Vala.
Hey, thanks, Brahma. That was quite detailed, and I think it's for me the key takeaway there is that the ideas are everywhere around you. You take it from a table topic, or you use your own mind map techniques or abbreviations, or define your way. So the ideas are everywhere around you. So I think you just need to kind of capture it. I also request the audience, we'll have last 5 minutes later just for you to ask some questions. So in your mind, you start thinking about if you have any burning questions, so we can make use of some of these stalwarts here. So back to you, Devashish, is one of the things that we always, at least I know from my experiences, we prepare everything so nice, but then we can't actually deliver it because we forget to memorize the speech in short time, or we are worried about how much we will remember and there's so many things that we want to talk about, but we end up preparing, we end up doing all this, but we don't end up saying it when the time comes. So how do we address that? How do you think, what has worked for you to ensure that you're able to deliver what you're prepared?
Yes, very key question. It's a very simple question which always keeps bothering us. Let me ask the audience, how do you prepare your speech? Or how long before your speech you start preparing? Is it 1 week, 1 month, 1 year? Never. Anything in the chat box, or just speak up?
Yeah.
And if it is never, why it is never? Okay, let me tell you one small tip. Your speech does not have to be sensational, as I mentioned before. Have you seen the speech from Prince Vasilev, 2013? Simple incident. Okay, every day we have incidences, right? Did you have a flat tire? Anyone has a flat tire before in your life, with yourself or your parents or anyone? Ronak, it looks like you have, right? Can it lead you to talk about a speech? You never thought about a flat tire can lead to a speech. Look at that speech, 2013 Press Vasilev. One flat tire. It's called a tire that changed by a tire. One flat tire can make a speech. What is your favorite pastime, if I may ask you? What is your favorite pastime? Netflix? Video games? Anyone? Put in the chat box. When you're watching, yes, Netflix. When you're watching your Netflix favorite drama, are you just watching and in the emotions? Do you come across a good phrase or a good tearful moment or a happy moment which you can relate so well that, oh yes, this can be my speech? It's just a word, it's a phrase, right? It's just a phrase. Reach out, right? The Press Vasilev said, reach out. How can reach out be a speech? And he said the reach out 14 times. So that's one of the ways to memorize, because Bala's question is how to memorize. If you, let's say, want to speak about, let's say, don't worry, be happy, and you had a situation where you were very sad, you had an obstacle in life, maybe you did not get the promotion, you were supposed to get the promotion, your boss did not give you at the last moment, and you're so unhappy. Did you stay there or did you come back from there? Did you beef yourself up? And next year you were in a position that no one, your boss could not have thought of anyone else but you to get the promotion. Did you have an argument with your wife and the next day how did you recover? Did you have a fight with your sibling? How did you reconcile? Did you have a breakup? How did you come across that? Look at all these issues which we have. How do you memorize? If you have the story, you don't have to memorize. Forget this memorize word. The word is internalize. If you have the story in your head, you can just go and talk about it. You don't need weeks or days to prepare. You have the story in your head, of course you write it down, but you don't have to memorize it line by line. You can just narrate the story. The other tip is you have to have some dialogue. Let's say you and your daughter, you and your mom, you and your wife, your husband, you and your boss had some dialogue. Just go into that scene and remember. So all you have to do in a speech is, Brahma talked about the structure. Start with a captivating question. It could be a strong question. It could be a scene of your picture of your scene, and then go into your story right away. In the story, take us to the story. What was the obstacle? You started here, nice, happy beginning. Then you go down. Your boss did not give you a promotion. Then you come back up, and then you end with a strong sentence. And then your phrase, your key phrase, let's say, don't worry, be happy. You repeat that every time. Anand talked about the pause. Whenever you say, don't worry, be happy, just pause. You can say it in many ways, and then that comes to the delivery part. We're not about delivery, but to remember the speech, use a story for almost 60-70% of your speech. That is something you don't need to remember. You just internalize because it's your story. And that's why they say it's personal story, right? You cannot borrow someone else's story. If it's a personal story, you feel it. You were in it. You knew what was the fight about with your wife, or with your boss, or with your sibling, or with your girlfriend, boyfriend. You know it's no one else knows better than you. And then you add your beginning, you add your end, and at the end it's very clear. You have to end with a high note, right? End at a very, very high note. You just say, for example, I had an end, and I will tell you that. My story was in something else, but it talked about how you can run out of your ideas, but you have to keep working on your things. So I said, and look at the pause here. I'll just read out some of those. When you run out of ideas, when you are low on confidence, when you want to fly high, don't be like a duck complaining, quack, quack. Be like an eagle soaring above. And you end your speech. I thought it gives you some tips. And again, just you have to practice it. If you're sitting there waiting for your turn, waiting for the president to force you a VP, you'll never happen. Just book your slot first. It could be next week, it could be next month. Book your slot first. Then you start with an idea. Think about your story. You have to have a story database. Keep writing your stories. Remember all your childhood days with all the fights, all your school stories, your breakups, your someone you liked and she ignored you, he ignored you, all of that. Put a story database and then pick one, bring it into your speech and then deliver it. It's your message. People want to hear it. Back to you, Vala.
Hey, thank you, Devashish. That was spot on. Yeah, I think it's these are very useful tips, and I hope so that it inspires all the members to look at the way we deliver, we prepare the speech. I know I'm conscious of the time, but I hope that you won't mind another 10 minutes on this. I think it's important that we've got really good, interesting tips that we're hearing, and I want to make use of the time. So I hope we are okay to go ahead with another 10 minutes. So if there is any questions that from the floor, please do go ahead. Brahma, back to you as well. I know that specifically had a few questions as well from your end. It's a fireside chat. I mean, it's not like each one of us have something to share. So let's make use of this opportunity.
I have a question to ask Pak Yusuf. Now, many of us find writing a humorous speech challenging. So my question to him is, how did you get this idea? First of all, talking about a mother-in-law can be quite sensitive, but you are free in such a way that we we are able to accept it. So how did you go about it, putting your ideas together, and what were the steps you took? Because I knew you won at the club, area, and division. You're next going to the district contest. So I'm sure you have put in a lot of effort. So it'd be good if you could share it with us and we can learn from you.
Yes, thank you very much for the question. First of all, I prepared it a year ago, and I joined the club called Stand Up Comedy. And there, I tried to make some jokes. It's a very free jokes, and I collect something about mother-in-law. What I see from my daily life, what I heard from my friends, and I try to put it in and learn the way how the stand-up comedian make it into a joke. Frankly speaking, I did it for 1 year. Last year I started it, and I tried to make lots kind of joke about my wife, my mother-in-law, my son, anything about family. So what I think is good, because I see it every day. It's really happening. But of course, I spice it up. I make it, I blow it up. And I heard from friends, they give me some ideas, some feedback. And they said, why don't you say this? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? So those kind of things, edit it all up. And I try to rearrange them into a story. I mean, actually it is a set of jokes, but I try to compile it into one thing, like a story, a joke in the story, or a story in the joke, something like that. Thank you.
Thanks, Pak Yusuf. I think that was interesting, and I now can clearly see how all of that has come together in your 5 to 7 minute speech. It has taken so much of the knowledge, so much of the conversations that you had starting from a year, from looking at what's going. So yeah, it is to me, it's preparation is definitely the key, the kind of effort that you put in. Anything from the floor? Anyone? Anand, Deepa, Ronak, Pani, Maria, anybody? Any questions? So we kind of to the
Sure.
panel.
Can I ask a question? Anyone of the panelists for the Fireside Chat? Because I'm not very new to Toastmaster, but I consider myself very new because I'm still not confident. I write my speeches. My writing is great. I'm happy and satisfied with my script. But when it comes time to deliver my script, I want to go back word to word, and I'm not good at last minute improvisation. And a couple of times it has happened that suddenly I lost that link or that word, and after that it was a downward spiral, like I completely lost my show. And I don't want that to happen because I want to be spontaneous and I want to come across as natural. How do I get that?
Yeah, let me take that and then I'll let others to add as well.
Sure.
So one thing, if you are really narrating your story, there is no way you can forget your story. Agree? So your story, if it is taking 60-70% of your story, yeah, you will never forget. Now what happens in a speech, it's not just your story. You have transitions. It may not be one story, it could be 2 or 3 segments of the story, and you have a transition in between, and you also have your key message. It doesn't come at the end, it will come in between. So what is important is you have to remember only those key messages which you cannot forget. It is a key phrase, right? Like reach out, or don't worry, be happy. If you say, oh, don't happy, be worry, it's a total disaster. So just remember that phrase very, very carefully. You have to just keep repeating it. Only way you can keep repeating and remembering it is by rehearsals. You have to rehearse your speech. If it's a contest speech or if it's an important speech in your club, rehearse it in front of your Zoom. But key is that your story is there. You break your speech into 5 or 6 segments. It could be 3, 4, 5, 10, not too many. And then each segment you remember, okay, where do I transition? So even if you have forgotten one part, just let it be. Don't worry about that. As long as you know your next phase, next transition or next para, just go into that. Don't try to repeat of course, if it's a contest speech, everyone wants to go word by word because every word is important, has been chosen very correctly. In that case, you have to try it 100 times. That's what they do. World champions, they try their speech 100, 200 times, and that's what but you're not doing it on a regular club speech. Regular club speech, use the story, the transition. If you've forgotten, don't try to recall that. Just have the thread to go to the next phase. And when you're rehearsing your speech, just remember there are 6 components. And my first component is about this part where I'm asking a question to the audience. Second component, I'm talking about my childhood. Third component, I bring up the key phrase. Fourth component, I talk about when I have become an adult. Fifth component, I emphasize the message. And sixth component, when I close. If you remember these 6, it becomes very easy to transition.
Absolutely, that makes sense.
Thank
But
you.
for competition like what Pak Yusuf is going to do, are you trying to memorize your speech word to word, like verbatim? And how do you do it for contest?
You are asking me?
Yes.
No, I don't try to remember word by word. Because once you lose your word, then you'll go blank.
Exactly. That's my issue. That's the problem.
Yeah. So usually I try to figure out what am I going to talk about in all. And then I do write down the summary of what is the first paragraph, second, third, and fourth. But I don't remember word by word.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
That's
the next stage in anybody's speaking journey.
Well, one more thing you can do is, let's say 2 days before your speech when you're rehearsing, once you have memorized or whatever method you're using, then you just tear off your speech, throw it off. Because now it's internally, right? And then you try to rehearse it by yourself without looking at the script. Once you've got confident about the script, and you keep rehearsing. Every time you'll find some new word, that's fine. Your key phrase has to be there. Take note of the key phrase. Keep it in a paste it in front of your computer. Keep repeating that because you cannot miss out that. Like if you have, seek nothing from this world, that is your message. Seek nothing from this world. You cannot miss that out. If you say, oh, seek everything from this world, it's total disaster, right? So, yeah, rest. You can just keep rehearsing and then it will come.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks. Hey, thank you all. I know there's a lot we can discuss on this. It's a very near and dear topic, as I said. But I want to take this opportunity to first thank our Fireside Chat panelists, area directors Brahma Kumar and Devashish for coming here and sharing some of the really, really useful practical tips, techniques from what has proven once, which has worked for them. And I'm sure that you all will find that useful. And thanks once again for that, Brahma Kumar and Devashish. Now, without further ado, just take a very quick, to thank a small token of appreciation, a certificate for all our guests. 1 second, and let me just pull that to show you. Okay, just okay. Let me do that. Let me share. Sharing screen. There we go. So let me first start with she immediately took up this when I asked her if she could act as Toastmaster of the day. Really appreciate that, and I think that is a most important character of a Toastmaster, willing to take up a challenge, willing to do this, and appreciate that, Deepa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Park Yusuf Chandra. I mean, it's been such a pleasure, and he really did humor all of us. And I think I really hope so that he also found being part of us in this meeting something that he also enjoyed, I hope, in the meeting. But we really enjoyed your speech. Not sure about your mother-in-law though, but we definitely enjoyed. Thank you, Yusuf, for being here.
Thank you very much. This is a very great honor for me to do so. Thank you.
Much appreciated. And, lovely language evaluation. I mean, this is I think it was really on spot on number of things. And again, last minute, I approached you, and you were very. I'm really thankful that you took that and you spend the whole entire time with us during this meeting. Appreciate. And also for everybody's reference, Anand is also our club advisor, so I'm looking forward to tap on his knowledge and experience. So thank you, Anand. Brahma Kumar, I mean, to be honest, he's the one who introduced me to Toastmasters, my mentor and my good friend. And thanks, Brahma, for always being there whenever I need you, and you're always there to assist and help. So thanks for your wisdom, and thanks for sharing every time whenever I need something, and whenever the club needs something also. So thanks. Thanks, Brahma. Devesh has always been a breath of fresh air. I always like the way he thinks, puts his ideas, and it's been a pleasure to hear you, Devesh. And thanks for coming again and rendering your support to us. Very well appreciated. Yeah, and now going back to just last set of certificates, just wanted to share with you is our winners certificate for this. So today, let's see, sorry, where is the winner certificate? Okay, so first, this is, I'm sorry, this is Evalia. So for Simon, Simon has always been in one of the top when it comes to evaluations, and he's also our treasurer, our exco member, always been there for the club. Thanks, Simon, for continuing to be an active contributor for the club. And go today, I know that we had wonderful speeches today. We had from our external speaker from TMCS Club, Jovin, talking about her grandmother, and Swiki for his amazing 22 minutes presentation. But being you're the only one who kind of met our timelines within the time, and I also think well prepared speech. So thank you for that. With that, I conclude our club meeting for today. Thank you once again for all of you to spending time with us, and for hopefully everybody got something out of this meeting. Let's continue to meet again. Until then, enjoy what is left of your weekend.
Thank you, President Bala.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Deepa.
Yes, bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Happy weekend, everyone.